Ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and the 10 a.m. on Thursday in our Queensland, Australia office. This is Technically Speaking Live. We've got a banger of a show today, but I would be remiss if I did not talk about why I have a crown literally right here. Folks might actually know why I have a crown. If you've been following my Twitter at Scott Peachy, you can find me on the tweet machine. You will know that this crown right here, this is a special crown. It was a crown that was given to be my Tech King mic. That's a lie. I bought it for myself on Amazon. And why did I buy that for myself on Amazon, you say? You see, when you come at the king, you best not miss. And this was a situation last Saturday on Saturday Night Tech Fights. You're looking at the inaugural first time part of a duo, an epic duo. Some would argue the best duo that's currently available in Saturday Night Tech Fight history. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The lover of tech, which has been in the UK, and this guy right here, Big Papa Peach, is your first Saturday Night Tech Fight tag team champion. And if I were fully prepared, I was going to try to do two things. One, I would actually have like an applause track on my Rodecaster Pro. But I forgot, to be completely honest. I totally forgot. And the second thing is I would have like a very kingly type music. Think of like the beginning where the king comes in Hamilton. I probably should have had that track available too. But I digress. So I have this crown, and I'm maybe sending one to Ben over in the UK. I don't know what that is. Maybe he can just borrow the Queen's crown, because Ben and I are champions. And that's what champions do. We share crowns or something like that. Anyway, again, kind of mentioned a banger of a show. I have the one and only Shannon Morse is going to be joining us in just a few minutes. She's actually in the green room, also known as the other window in Skype. And we're going to be talking a lot about information security and why she got started as a content creator and you name it, all of that. But as always in the show, my man, your favorite stats, my favorite stats. Stats, welcome to the show. I thought I got you in the window. There we go. Hello, Stats.
There it is. Hello, everybody. Good evening to the newly crowned king of the tech fight, Mr. Scott Peachy.
Well, thank you, sir.
You did leave out one option for your intro music that if you played it, might have gotten us a copyright strike, but Queen themselves, we are the champions. Ooh. That would have been a good one.
We are the champions, my friends. Boom, boom.
I mean, you would need to shave off your neck beard if you wanted to look like Freddie Mercury.
Why is it a neck beard? It's not even a neck. It's literally. I have really big cheeks, and they just hang low.
And I don't. I mean, come on.
I was going to say, bro, last week you shaved your face.
I did.
Goodness me.
And I'm enjoying it.
Are you?
I'm enjoying it.
Why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Why would you enjoy it?
Because, it's something different. I didn't recognize myself in the mirror this morning, and it was a good day.
You definitely. You shouldn't recognize yourself in the mirror any morning. Anyway, Stats, you've had a good week so far?
Yeah, it's not too bad, Okay. We've had a few duo messages back and forth, but I was finally able to satisfy that Canes craving that I had this week.
You brought me Canes. This man brought me Canes.
I did.
And I didn't get, because I was in meetings literally all day, I did not get a chance to eat the Raisin Canes until 5:30, 5 hours after he brought it to me.
Now, the question is, did you smash it cold, or did you take it back upstairs and reheat it?
Okay, let's be honest. I'm not a heathen. I actually wanted to make sure that I knew that the Canes, like, I eat anything cold. You know this. I'll eat anything cold.
Except coffee.
I drink cold coffee. By the way, I got a new cold brew. I'll tell you about it after the show.
Ooh, lovely.
Yeah. What I did was I actually turned on the oven, put it on like a pan, and put it back in the oven to make sure that the Canes was full up Canes mode.
Attaboy. Well done. Did you warm up the sauce?
No, I did not do that. I left it out.
Okay. That's all right.
Yeah,
it was room temp.
Anyway, but that's not important. The most important thing is, one, while I bring on Shannon, Stats, would you be so kind as to go to twitch.tv/technically speaking live and see if it's actually working, because it's not on my end. Perfect.
Let me refresh my page on my wicked old laptop.
All right. Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to bring on the one and the only.
No, we've got an error code #1000, so it does not appear to be
Perfect.
working at this time.
Awesome. Love it. Let's bring in Miss Shannon Morse. Miss Shannon Morse, hello.
Hello. How are you?
I am fantastic. Some would say peachy. How are you?
I would say I am doing pretty peachy as well.
Yes. Yes. We all know that Stats just loves that. So I love the hair, by the way.
I'm going to keep drinking on this end.
I love the hair. I know the hair. I think this is a new phenomenon today, right?
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, I was at the hair salon the entire day. I haven't had my hair done in like a year. I know this is not a hair show, but listen, I have transformed.
Scott is really proud of his hair, so
I'm proud of my hair.
It's
This
great.
is my ultimate Pokemon transformation. This is my ultimate evolution. And I'm so glad that it's back, because it took me a very long time to get it.
it looks fantastic.
I'm going to admit something straight on the internet that I know will always live on the internet. So my mother is a hairdresser. I love hair. Like, so it's a thing. Like, I will watch people getting haircuts on like Instagram all the time. And the rainbow ones, to me, are always some of the best ones to follow, because it was like they'll start up here, then do a little down, then a little down, then a little down. Do you have that where you move your hair, it's like all completely different colors, like underneath and all that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See?
Yeah, so
There's the green.
there's like some green and teals
Yes.
and yellow. Yeah, it's all up in there.
Yeah,
That's
see?
fantastic.
Love it. See? And I will watch hours worth of hair content. So we can talk about that as much as you'd like.
Well, I appreciate that, because I'm very proud of my unicorn hair.
I think it looks great.
Thank you.
I just love it. So yeah. Anyway.
Well, I like your neck beard.
Well, thank you. I think it looks great.
Thank you, Miss Shannon. Thank you very much.
I think it looks
Appreciate
great.
that.
But the mohawk is really where it's at. Let's be real. Looks great. Like, I cut my own hair
I can
too.
agree.
So I do my own thing. All right. So I think you have an incredible background, and I have to ask, amazing background. You're not just a content creator. You do influential speaking, guest spots. You're everywhere. How in the world did you get started in all the, like, did you start in one arena? Did you jump into all of them? What's your origin story, some would say?
Well, to keep it like very TLDR and short, I will say that when I was in school, I was obsessed with like doing theater. So I was a theater geek. I was a thespian, and I was building computers at home. Like I had always been building computers since I was a little kid. So when I graduated from college, I didn't really have a career path chosen, even though, I had a major and all that good stuff. Now I'm not even using my major, but I kind of figured out that doing theater and building computers, you can combine the two if you do YouTube videos about building computers, because then you get to entertain and you also get to build them on a camera for people to watch on the internet. So that's what I ended up doing, except the people that I was doing it with were super passionate about security and privacy. So I ended up falling into this entire community of information security professionals and hackers and makers. So a lot of my background with creating YouTube videos comes from that community that I fell into right after college. So I've been going to like DEF CON, the biggest hacker convention in the entire US since I think 2009 was my first year. And I've been going to CES since 2008. I think that was my first year. So if I miss it this January because of the pandemic, that's going to be the first time ever. And I will be super bummed. But it'll probably be the safe thing to do. So I might end up doing that.
I have always wanted to go to that, but I'll be honest, it sounds so intense. Like I would, within
it is.
seconds, be walking in the door, they'd be like, I know you're social. Like, oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, basically going to DEF CON. Yeah. It's like I have this little Faraday bag. It's basically like a Faraday cage, but you can stick your cell phone in it. And I bring this Faraday bag with me every single year when I go to DEF CON, and I put my phone in it. So I still have access to my phone and I can still see like my calendar and stuff like that. But all of the frequencies are blocked from transmitting or receiving to my phone while I have it in this Faraday bag, because I don't trust people at all. I get super paranoid when I go to DEF CON. It's basically like you're putting yourself into this like guerrilla warfare type of area where you have 25,000 plus hackers all trying to hack whatever they can in the radio waves going on around us. So I'm just like, I turn off everything.
I'll be honest. If I ever got invited to DEF CON, I would probably take a burner flip phone and a film camera so nobody could try to rip anything out of either of the devices, and that would be it.
But the thing is,
we used to bring film cameras, but now I leave my camera in airplane mode the entire time that I'm there, and it's fine. Like nobody's ever tried to mess with my camera for my podcast or for my YouTube shows, but with my phone, I used to bring a burner as well. So that's definitely something that I did when I first started going to DEF CON. But nowadays, I know how to disable everything in my Android phone. So I'm just like, I'll just turn everything off.
See, that to me is the way that I would have to do it. It sounds bad. Like I would want to talk about the event because it's super interesting. And I would want to enlighten people on, man, y'all need to just really step up on your information security. But like, I would have to do it like, I would have to basically queue up a whole series of tweets, and then as soon as I'm not in that city, they would all launch, because even if you're in the hotel, they would probably get you. They could easily get you into the hotel. Like I watched one video where it was like a social engineering event where they said this one woman that was actually running the show said, all right, hey, can you hack me? And then as soon as I start recording, I actually want to see what you're able to get on me. They actually got her convinced to log into the hotel Wi-Fi, and it was not the hotel Wi-Fi. They actually put up a fake splash page, got all of her information, all of the credentials, got access to all of her socials, got access to all of her bank, all of that information, and even got access to her room, because they pretended that they were a guest of this person, knew all of the information that was needed in order to get access to the room key. And that was at that event. And I'm like, oh, that sounds so exciting and terrifying all in the same sense.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know exactly how they did that hack, but in my experience and from the company that I got my start on YouTube with, that sounds like a Hack 5 pineapple, like a Wi-Fi pineapple hack, which is a little device that spoofs wireless networks, and it pretends to be the SSID of a Wi-Fi network that your device is familiar with. So it ends up using man-in-the-middle attacks to basically steal data, or you can use it for forensics as well. You can use it for lots of good things. It can basically be used for that kind of attack. Although, since I work with Hack 5, I do shows on the Hack 5 channel, I should mention I definitely don't condone those kind of activities unless you are in a lab environment and you have a contractual agreement to do so.
do you have a white hat somewhere there in your studio?
I probably do. It's probably upstairs in my closet with all my other hats. Don't tell anybody, though. I mean, sometimes I have a black hat and sometimes I have a gray hat. So I change depending on the day.
Okay.
As long as you're covered by legal framework or an NDA, you're good to go.
Yep. Good to go on that.
Exactly.
So, okay. So you got started with the hacking information, got Hack 5, you got started in the InfoSec, but I know that you've been going out into some other areas from a content creation perspective. So what made you kind of want to branch out, getting into tech? What was the kind of the passion around that?
Well, there were a few reasons. One of them was because when I was a kid, I loved doing, messing with computers and everything just from a consumer perspective. So I wanted to share a lot of those experiences with my own audience. And that wasn't necessarily something that I could share on the Hack 5 channel, because that that audience is already they're already information security professionals. They're already hackers. So they would probably not find as much enjoyment and passion out of it as somebody who would watch on my own personal channel, like a consumer that's interested in security and privacy, but not necessarily wants to do a professional career with it. So I wanted to branch out and start doing some of my own stuff, like a passion project for consumers, because I felt like I was in this perfect position to start educating consumers about information security, not the Hack5 audience, but people that maybe know what I do through Hack5, because like, the Wi-Fi Pineapple has been on Silicon Valley. I was an extra in Jason Bourne. So I've been around the block and people have like seen my work. We were in the New York Times early on, like in 2014 or something. So people have seen my work and they might be interested, but they might go to the Hack5 channel and be like, this is way too much information about security and privacy for me. Like, I just want to know how I can like lock down my iPhone. So that's what I wanted to create, was something where people can go and they can learn from my own experiences as a security professional, and I can educate them. And I'm going to turn on my webcam because my Sony overheated.
Oh no!
So I was going to say two things. Extra on Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
And where did your video go?
Yeah. So, and I have a third follow up. I just want to know which Sony it is.
It's the Sony CyberShot RX100 Mark V.
Got it. Okay.
It's a little jerk, basically.
Yeah. Shame on Sony. Sony, you know better. Sony, you know better.
So which Jason Bourne movie?
So the one I was in was the most recent Jason Bourne. They basically had a lady come to DEF CON who was doing the prop design for Jason Bourne. And she wanted to go there to kind of get an idea of what a InfoSec conference would look like, because spoiler alert, in the newest Jason Bourne, there's a convention scene. So instead of rebuilding all of these different booths, they basically got in touch with a bunch of people that had booths, including Hack5, as well as like the EFF and Hacker Warehouse and a bunch of other people that I've, kind of frequently seen at DEF CON for many, many years. They just got in touch with us and they were like, do you want to come rebuild your booth at the Aria for a weekend and pretend that you're selling products to our extras? And we were just like, dude, that sounds awesome. So yes, of course we do. And it ended up being this really fun experience. Like, I got to meet Matt Damon, and my coworker was trying to tell him how the Wi-Fi Pineapple works. And so I walked over and I was like, is my coworker freaking you out? And he was just like, yeah, a little bit.
Holy crap, that's incredible. So
That's
we will see you in the new Jason Bourne movie.
Yeah, you can see me for like a second, but you can see the Hack5 booth in the background. It's very obvious because there's this gigantic inflatable pineapple on the top of the booth, so you can't miss it.
Oh my God, movie star. You literally have this crazy, amazing, very diverse background. So that actually leads into the next question is, what is some of the things that you would give like a recommendation to people trying to diversify the things that they're doing? Like, what's the secret sauce, I suppose?
For me, it was finding a niche that didn't necessarily exist. And if it did exist, nobody was doing a very good job at it. And I say that, and I'll give you my own example, where when I was working with Hack5, which I still am to this day doing ThreatWire on the channel now, ever since I started, I had no educational background in InfoSec. So when I started, I had to look up tutorials and I had to look up like forums and manuals and find all the information that I needed in order to educate our audience on whatever topic I wanted to talk about. And a lot of times these topics would just be something that I was interested in that week. So I would find this thing and be like, oh, I want to learn how to hack my Nintendo Wii. And then I would hack my Nintendo Wii. But all of the forums and tutorials and RTFM manuals and everything, like they would always miss a step. There would always be something that was missing in the information online, and they would put forth the information, but they would have this expectation that their readers or their own audience already knew something in order to be able to complete the mission, basically.
So
it was so
kind of
frustrating.
like it's kind of like all the mapping software that gives you the option to say, I know how to get out of my own neighborhood. Just tell me what to do once I get on the interstate.
Yes, exactly.
But you wanted to be able to educate people on literally walk out your back door, lock it, get in your car, turn it on, and follow all of those steps.
That's a perfect analogy. Exactly. And I felt like that was missing, and it was missing because I was being frustrated. So I knew that other people online were also getting frustrated about finding this information that they needed in order to step foot into information security. And if it was so hard for me, I could make it easy because I could figure it out. And my coworkers already knew this stuff. So they were doing advanced segments already. So then I started developing all these different segments where I'm walking through every single small step, and I would define every single term that I thought that somebody just branching into InfoSec would not necessarily understand. And it ended up helping our channel blow up to the point where now we're at 600,000 subscribers. So knowing that I was doing this, I was like, this is a niche that did not exist, because people started coming up to me at DEF CON and saying, we're using your tutorials in our college courses for, Linux environments. And we're learning how to code from you, which I'm not a coder. I never pretend to be, but I had to learn some programming in order to make some of these tutorials. So it was so fascinating to me that there was this niche that really needed to be expanded upon, and nobody had done it yet. So I was just like, I'm going to do this on YouTube. So I did. And then that was the thing that I really found helped my passion along, because so many people were thanking me for making it because it just did not exist in the first place. So if somebody is already making it on YouTube, which some were, and they're not doing a good job of it, just find something that you could do better and absolutely grow on that, and just push out all the content that you possibly can every single week, because it can absolutely help your personal brand grow and help your channel grow. And if there is not a niche yet, create that niche, because if you're the first one and you're doing the best job at it, you can absolutely explode online.
Yeah, you would be the yardstick in that instance. And I think a lot of good content creators are doing that today. As we were talking about it before. I know Saturday Night Tech Fights just jumped in, so Mike's doing it. That's a very specific niche. I think that's a good idea. InfoSec is another one that's a great niche to get into. And that's what a lot of the tech content needs to do. It can very easy be cookie cutter, but we have to get to a point where it's not cookie cutter. Bring your own flavor to it. I know you've started on shows like Vipe's show, so Vipe Drive and Vipe Live. That's a new niche. That thing is coming to it. And I think live streaming is also something else that's coming to it. And I will tell you this right now. To get this on your screen right now, I am totally amazed. So interesting. Great guest. That is Miss Sheila. And if Miss Sheila is a fan, you're winning. That's all you need to know. You're winning.
Thank you, Sheila.
So
you're amazing.
Miss Sheila is incredible. And so exactly. If she's a fan, she's going to love it. And so you'll probably see her pop into some of your stuff periodically as well. So we've talked about InfoSec. I'm a data privacy guy. I'm very big about data privacy. I think data privacy is a fundamental human right. I am super interested to know your thoughts on well, so first I would have to say the Cambridge Analytica. They say it was a breach. I don't think it was a breach. Actually, I know it wasn't a breach. They were allowed to have access to that data. And then we recently had something where Twitter had a little bit of an oopsie.
Yes, they did.
Somebody just a smidge. So I would love your thoughts on what the big oopsie was for Twitter.
Well, I would like to mention too, with the Cambridge Analytica thing, Facebook recently also had a new announcement on their own blog where they said, oh, by the way, there were another 4,000 developers or something like that still had access to third-party data, which they shouldn't have after the first ruling with Cambridge Analytica. And that just happened 2 weeks ago or something like that. So it's still an ongoing issue. And it's not something that is resolved just because of a few court hearings that Facebook had to go to. they got a slap on the wrist. It was like a $5 billion fine or something. So it's still ridiculous and still gets me very venty and heated. That's why I drink the wine.
We love venting and heating on this show.
I am not a Facebook person. I am not on Facebook. I know that it's good for content creators to be on Facebook. I just can't. Like I am very angry at Facebook. That's just me. Like, but I also I Instagram, so, and they're owned by Facebook, so it's like double talk. But I think what Facebook is doing, allowing these developers to have this, it's very unethical to me. But it's also just, you don't get to plead ignorance when you have and gathering so much information about the consumer, and they readily admit that they are an advertising company. That's how they make their revenue. I mean, Zuckerberg has went to Congress and be like, we sell ads, in his weird robotic way. They're collecting the information from you. There's a reason why Amazon's really good at predicting what they think you're going to buy next. That you are the data. That's a free service that's available and that's out there. That's why I probably have so much disdain for Facebook, because the ignorance of, well, I didn't know my developers had access to that. You have to be better. You have to be better.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I mean, even though you don't have a Facebook account, like they could still have data points on your profile based on friends and family that are on Facebook and on the information that they see from third parties like Twitter and Instagram. Yeah. So it's still a constant struggle with wanting to be, for example, growing your personal brand and being a creator online, and also protecting your identity and your personal brand and your own security and privacy. Yeah. So the Twitter thing was a huge blow up, and on the surface it just sounded like, oh, it's a Bitcoin scam, like no biggie. It was only a few hundred accounts that got hacked. But the issue that we're seeing now, and something that I brought up in my own channel on ThreatWire, and something that my friend Roberto Blake brought up on his channel too, which we had a huge discussion about it, and then he very kindly gave me a shout out in that video. But it's a great video where he kind of breaks down the issues that have to do with that Twitter hack. It's not just the Bitcoin scam. It also is the fact that Twitter has access to an administrative tool, and several employees apparently have access to this tool that allows them to bypass two-factor authentication, bypass security, and be able to log into accounts, change passwords, change email addresses, and be able to tweet from these accounts. And not only that, but the other thing that I have a big issue with is the fact that a lot of critical infrastructure uses Twitter to make announcements and make warning tweets and make posts to civilians, to people in their audience that may need that information. Yep. There was a great example that was posted on Twitter of a tornado warning that was happening in Indiana from a verified account. That verified account could not tweet out tornado warnings. So unless they had some kind of backup, like text messaging or some kind of alert notification system where they could send out that information, how are people supposed to be able to get that very, very important information about weather warnings, infrastructure problems, like all sorts of those kind of things? There's way too many companies and government agencies and things like that that are using a social media network, a platform that they have no control over, to do all of these announcements and alerts, and Twitter can just shut it down at any time. Yep. So it wasn't just about like, haha, verifieds couldn't tweet anymore, but it was very much about like, oh, this could be really, really bad if this platform went down or somebody decided to turn off verified accounts again and something big is happening in the world.
That's my thing, is like, you mean to tell me that there's like, first of all, they actually architected something that has the God level access to turn all of that off. God level. It is. It's what it is. It's a God level access key that basically says, okay, well, if I want to nuke this, I can nuke this. That's a problem. Like, that there seems to be like, what are the compensating controls for that?
I would say, for me personally, I don't have a problem if a company chooses to do that, if they make it known to the people who are using their product. If Twitter would have made it, and maybe they did, because nobody reads the terms and conditions, we all know that, we all admit to it, but if they made it front and center, absolutely 100% clear that they have God level access to every single account that has ever been created in the history of ever, okay, that allows me, Scott, and I know this is a big point for you, to make a better informed decision on whether or not I use their service. But now, coming to light, because somebody did something stupid or somebody did something wrong and allowed a bad actor, which is a phrase used in security, realms, to gain access to these blue check marks, these Twitter, these massive follower Twitter accounts, but nobody knew about it. That's what both surprised and annoyed me the most about this particular issue.
There were a lot of people in the information security industry who were saying exactly what you just said, Andrew. They were just like, why is this happening? Like, why is this administrative system available? And why didn't we know about it? And there's so many concerns now arising around Twitter. For example, direct messaging. That is not end-to-end encrypted. Nope. So anybody at Twitter could read that. There's a lot of problems that have to do with Twitter being used as a platform for so many very important communications, when the potential of either employees being basically paid off so that they would give access to a hacker, or being paid off to the point where they're doing malicious acts, maybe if they're upset employees, that's always a potential. And if that vulnerability is there, it's basically a backdoor. So we need to make sure that that backdoor is not there. And if it is, there needs to be some kind of mitigation plan so that this doesn't happen again. And I don't think Twitter had a mitigation plan.
I don't think they did either.
Yeah, there needs to be some sort of multi-level authentication to where if someone wants to try to access this administration tool, they need to go up the chain multiple levels, possibly even all the way to Jack, or I don't know, because they're a publicly traded company, maybe to the shareholders to get permission to enact the usability of this tool. Because like you said, a lot of social services and police departments and governments and, let's just go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room, the current administration, they use Twitter and social media to enact policy, even though it's not right, even though it's not constitutional, whatever. That's a discussion for another time. But they are using it for the platform the best way that they can. And the ability that someone that isn't in the government does not have those rights to make those type of pronouncements. I mean, you want to talk about a deep fake. Somebody takes over, I don't know, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, God forbid, Donald Trump's account, and tweets out something even more inflammatory, something that is totally just, I can't even imagine, I can't even put into words what it could be. But if they have the ability to do it, you then have to protect against the ability of someone else to do it.
And so
100%.
Kathleen actually brings up a lot of good points in her comments here. She goes, Twitter and businesses hinging their communication strategy on it. You should always have more than one touch point to talk to your customers. And customer care teams should not collect PII on Twitter. Take it to an authenticated portal. I 1,000% agree with what you're saying in there. I'm going to go back to the customer care comment quickly. I know for a fact that lots of companies collect the PII in the direct messaging. Perfect example.
Yes, they do.
Perfect example. Like Spectrum or WoW or some type of internet service.
I know where you're going.
Yeah, you specifically. They usually go like, DM me and I'll help you out or whatever. The first question they always ask me, "What's your account number?" That's PII. Yeah. That is literally PII. PII can be linked back directly to me. If I can give you my account number and you have that information and you can put your hand on my shoulder, you have a piece of PII on me. That's just the facts.
And generally, like, since we use Twitter and we usually put our real names in our Twitter profile, you have a real name, you have your account, and if they can find your address, which a lot of times you can just pay $5 on a yellow page website and or a white page website, and you can find somebody's address if it's publicly available, which I do have a way to mitigate that as well, which I will mention.
Oh, but please, because I actually want to know that.
Those three things, That's all you need to social engineer your way into a customer call center and be able to take over an account and change the address, or you can change the phone number on the account and you can gain access to the two-factor authentication and you can log in and you could start paying for all sorts of things. So there's so many ways that people can use this information to just gain access to readily available information from all sorts of different spots on the internet in order to take over your accounts. And that's a serious threat to not only folks that, do a lot of online branding on social media, but also consumers. And consumers are a big attack vector for all of these attackers, because they're like, oh, they won't care. Like, they won't have the two-factor authentication enabled or something like that. So it's like, it's so easy for them to just write a program to automatically go through a bunch of usernames and passwords and just kind of figure out which one works. And if it does, boom, you got it.
And that's probably my thing with Twitter is like the biggest thing with, I know I'm gonna cut you off. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Go.
Expanding the thing on Twitter is that's why it's such a big deal that they had the big giant kill switch. Like, they have the ability to see way more than what people thought. And again, maybe it is in the terms of service. Boy, they buried that pretty far if that was the case. But now I start asking the questions of, well, since they can see this and have had this administrative tool for God knows how long, what else have they been looking at?
Right? Yeah. What else have they had access to? What kind of direct messages are they like selling on Black Hat forums? Like, we don't know.
And we don't know because, again, like Kathleen brings up a point, lots don't because they know better, but there's probably some that do. Like, while lots may not, one is more than too many. Because if you have a situation where you can social engineer yourself into something, like, perfect example, my identity was stolen several years ago, and all you have to have when you go into Best Buy, if you don't have your credit card with you, all you have to have is your Social Security number. You can walk into Best Buy today if you have a Best Buy credit card, and you can just enter in your Social Security number, and they don't look at anything else. They don't look at my driver's license or anything. Enter in my Social Security number, and I can start charging to my credit card. And wouldn't you know, that a couple of years ago, that happened. Person got a baller iMac computer. They bought a 27-inch iMac, and then they went to Home Depot and bought brand new flooring. Because evidently Home Depot allowed the same thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like, hey, they made out like bandits. They got a brand new computer and like $3,000 worth of flooring, so it wasn't cheap. And they made.
Well, and what's interesting to me about that, because I remember it happening in real time, but now that I think about it with a couple of more years of experience, those potential purchases would not be out of line on your type, your PII person of, middle-aged white dude who owns a house and is married and has kids. Yeah. Oh, I need a new computer. Oh, I need some new flooring for my house.
I never knew.
Even your credit company probably never questioned those.
They never stopped it. I got the bill and I was like, I don't think so. And they're like, what is that? I don't think so. So yeah, I mean, it was just one of those situations where it's like, I did not buy that. And then they're like, oh, you weren't here? And I'm like, I live completely on the other end of town. It was actually in the same town too. It's like, so the person was local.
Oh yeah, a lot of times that's what's going to happen. Like you will see some kind of local attack happen against somebody's credit card. So one thing I used to do in my early days of Hack5, when I first got out of college, is I got a job at a bank, which I don't know why they hired a person who's into hacking at a bank, but they did. And eventually they were like, oh, hey, like you're too smart to be a teller. Why don't we put you with our technical support in the credit card processing unit? And I was like, oh, that sounds fun. So I learned a bunch about how fraud works in the credit card industry and how like Visa and MasterCard and all of them, they basically have insurance, which they're able to pay for all the fraudulent claims because of all the fees associated that we pay on credit cards and interest and all that good stuff. So there's a whole background that has to do with credit card industry when it comes to fraud and hacking and how like PII can be used with credit cards. given that people are still using magstripe readers at merchants to pay for things, like, dude,
that's
like,
why that's why I have always said, like, it goes way back. Greg and I talked about it when Greg was still here on the show and all that, is use your credit card. Use your credit card. Have the willpower to say, I'm only going to spend this much. I don't use my debit card for anything. I use a credit card for everything. Pay it off every month. I know how difficult that can be, but I'm pleading with folks, please. And the reason is because the banks don't have to give you back your money if your money gets stolen from your debit card. They don't have to. A lot of times they give you some, but if you have people walking with thousands of dollars out of your debit account, the bank doesn't have to give you money to make you whole. But what they will do is they will go after everybody. They'll send the hounds out for everybody if it's their money, which is the credit.
Absolutely. Yep. So it's super fun. I mean, from a technical perspective, it's very interesting.
Yeah. Technically speaking, some would say. So
So
I have to ask, because you mentioned something, and this is this is something that rubs me raw. If you know a person's name, you can search them in like a county that they live in. You can get their address. How do you stop that?
So one way is some counties allow you to anonymize things like your mortgage, which you can pay extra for. And then the court, you'll have to go through like this whole additional form to be able to anonymize it and everything, which I recently got a mortgage. So I was able to do a lot of research down that whole hole. And it does cost extra to be able to do that, but it's pretty interesting and kind of cool that you can do that. So very useful for people that have a public persona. Another thing, and I really did want to mention this too, because I know a lot of content creators are watching this. This does cost money if you want them to automate the process for you. But there's a website called Join Delete Me, all one word, joindeleteme.com. And you can go there and you pay them a monthly fee, or you can pay annually. And they basically go through every single white page website, yellow page website, and any place that collects your PII, like your address, phone number, your family members' information. It collects all that information from all these different websites and searches it automatically pretty much I think every single month. And they send you a quarterly report with any websites they were able to get your information removed from. And this is like 50 to 100 different websites, I believe. So they send me a quarterly report because I do pay for it. I don't have a referral link, unfortunately, but I do pay for it because it is totally worth it. And they send me a report and they're just like, yep, opt out sent, information deleted, opt out sent, information deleted. And there are so many websites. Spokio, I think, is one of them.
Yes.
Like, I just got a PDF of all these different websites where they found my info and they were able to delete it for me. And I was just like, hallelujah. I am so glad that this thing exists, because if it didn't, I would have to do this every few months, go through the process myself manually, which you can do. But if you can afford it, it's like a few $100 per year. It's totally worth the money, so that it's a peace of mind. It's absolutely a peace of mind.
I did the whole manual one because there's a whole thread on Reddit that talks about go here, do this, go here, do this. What's even crazier is to prove that you are who you are, you actually have to take a picture of your driver's license and send it to them. And I'm like, I don't want to give you more PI. I want you to remove it. Like, I don't want you to have a picture of me, but it works. But again, you have to stay so diligent about it. It's like the sheer fact that for a couple $100 or $300 a year, honestly, it's a lot like LifeLock.
It absolutely is. Yeah, it's very, very similar. And in the sense of these websites collecting your information and making it available through like a paid membership on their website, where do they get that information from? If you can find a way to delete that information from whatever places they are collecting it from, because a lot of these are third-party collection agencies and they just put it on a website and then make a profit off of it. If you can find wherever the source is for all of this information and delete that, then your information doesn't continually get updated and generated automatically on all of these additional websites. So I put like a physical shipping address and a phone number and my real name online. And I know that those are going to end up on those sites, but I don't care because they're they're publicly available information. Like, this is the shipping address that I give to whoever wants to send me swag. This is the phone number for PR companies to call me, because PR companies are horrible about having hacks. There are so many times that PR companies are just not protecting their CRM correctly, or they're sticking it on an Amazon S3 server that's publicly accessible on the internet.
Oh, yes.
And they don't take care of influencer or personal brand information, and it leaks onto the internet. So I just decided, okay, well, I'm going to pay for a PO box, and I'm going to pay for a like Google Voice number, and like all this information, I've just put it out there. And then all of my information, I don't share with anybody except for my family and friends. So that way it stays off the internet.
I love the idea of this, and like Miss Sheila says, totally going to use the service, worth the cost. I'll be looking at it definitely after this. Now, I want to make sure that I understood it. If I join this, this doesn't remove me from like the public records of where my address is, right? Like, that's an extra step.
I will give you an example, because they just sent me my PDF about it. Let's see. Join, delete me.
While you're looking that up, I recently came across an article on Wired about a website called donotpay.com, to where you can sign up. You can sign up for $3 a month, and they will. It started out as like a spam management tool, but now they also have functionalities on your website to a parking ticket fighting tool.
Whoa.
A robo revenge tool, to where if you get robocallers, they will automatically sue on your behalf in small claims court. And they will say they say that they will never ever raise their rates, no matter how many different functionalities they add to their website, because they are going out there and getting investments, because people are starting to take personal PII, privacy, and data security so seriously that it is becoming, Scott, like you advocate all the time, a fundamental right to having access to the internet is to be able to control and privatize your data whenever you feel like it, as opposed to the people who are collecting it.
Bingo.
Yeah. So I found my most recent report, and luckily it says information not present on single website that they checked, which is great. So they're doing their job. And I can always go to those websites and check myself and make sure that they're actually telling the truth, which I have done, and they totally are, which is great. Okay. So my most recent one is from July 7th, and it says people search databases. Okay. So it's only including those search databases that folks can go to and find your records, like your address and phone number. So, for example, I think most of them are just name, address, and phone number. And then sometimes they will show you family members as well. So you can give that kind of information to Join Delete Me, and they will search for all of that information, and they will tell you what kind of data they were able to delete. And they say that you can also sign up for like family member plans. So Delete Me for 2 people. So that means like if you had a friend, like a roommate or something, you could split the cost, and you could end up like having both of your information deleted from all these websites. You could do it for family members. Like my mom lives super far away, so I could do it for her too, and then set her up on the same account as me. So there's tons of different options that they have, but that's like the website that I generally go to delete that kind of information. But yeah, when it comes to information that's not on people's search databases, like your mortgage documents and stuff like that, you would have to go to an alternative route, which is usually through your own county.
Yeah, that's the one I need to get. I got to get that one taken care of, because that drives me insane. Is it like a one-time thing where you just say one time, or is it like if you move a lot, it's every move?
I think it's per address.
Okay.
So if you sign, like, are you talking about Join Delete Me or
no
the
mortgage one?
The mortgage?
Yeah.
I think it's for per address. Like you have to sign up and fill out the form and pay for the anonymity on top of it for each of those mortgages, for example.
And just the thought of what you just said, like you have to pay for the anonymity. Think about we're to the point in the world where it's like, that's crazy to me. Like I have to pay somebody to say, don't give my name.
You have to do the same thing when you create a website. If you don't want your data obviously available to the information or to the internet whenever they go to like the who is domain records databases. Yeah. So you have to pay extra in order for that information to be anonymized, which is ridiculous to me. I shouldn't have to pay extra for that. That should just be something that comes with any domain that I decide to sign up for.
It just seems so weird that you have to pay extra for the privacy. Like
it's so stupid.
Such a weird world we live in. But again,
and it also creates this privilege of if you can pay for it, if you can afford it, you get the privacy. And that separates out a whole slew of folks who can't necessarily afford it.
Yeah.
And that's really, really disappointing from the InfoSec background. The fact that oftentimes I'll find that the people that are most affected are the ones that are lower income. And that's a huge problem because they're the ones that can't afford to have their PII out there and get their identity stolen.
Yep. Because it just crushes the credit.
They're the ones that rely the most on the internet and accessibility and people being able to find them. I mean, look at the gig economy or the people who are doing stuff on like TaskRabbit or things like that. They rely on social media and internet connectivity to cash a paycheck and to feed their families and to pay their rent. So they may not have the ability, like you said, to pay to opt out of having their own data collected on them. And I may be misremembering this, but I think I read an article a long time ago about, when the Yellow Pages was still a thing, when you would get that big 10-pound, thing dropped on your doorstep, people had the ability to not be listed in the Yellow Pages or in the White Pages or in the phone directory, but that was a privilege. You had to know who to call, who to write to, how to request access to that. And if you didn't, your information, your address and your phone number, if anybody remembers looking up the White Pages to see, what their best friend's phone number was so they could call them, after their parents told them that they could make calls on their own on the phone without being monitored. All that stuff was publicly available, but there was no opt-out. That's the way the system was built. It was built to include all of this information, quote unquote, for the public record or for the public good. But up until today, with this big push for data privacy and data ownership, we've never had the ability to truly opt out. And now we have to pay for it. So, yeah, it is a really interesting conundrum we are under these days.
Yeah,
it totally is.
It's I love the fact I think people rising up and going, well, now hang on a minute. We need privacy. Like you're seeing people use Signal more, which is a great app for messaging.
Which is awesome.
You're seeing, because in Signal, because you can now take pictures and blur the faces, which is what a great idea. It's like people are finally going, yeah, you know what? We've had enough of this. So let's figure out a way to where we can maintain our privacy the way that we want. But also, I want people to still know, like, look, I'm an Amazon guy. I love buying stuff on Amazon. I also know that they have a lot of information on me, that they're helping me make educated choices in purchases, right? Like they're saying, hey, you looked at this the other day. What about these other things? And so like that's very algorithmic based. It's based on things that I've done. Like, and I know that, like, I know I'm buying into that purchase and I want that service, right? It's about giving the people the power of choice. Like, I am choosing to do business with Amazon based on that because I like their algorithm telling me how to waste my money. Okay.
Absolutely.
But what I don't want is using something like the Under Armour app that happens to be linked to my Fitbit, that it also just happens to be linked to my Google account, which also happens to be linked to, oh, you guessed it, data they're sharing with Facebook. I'm not even in Facebook, and they're getting data on me. I don't like that. That's not a choice that I made. I did not make the choice to go into business with Facebook. I went into business with my Fitbit, who happens to all of these third-party agreements give data to Facebook. I don't like that.
Oh, but Scott, didn't you know when you clicked I accept, you agreed?
I agreed. That's right. Because the term
and that's so annoying.
Oh,
you agreed, but you didn't read. That's the problem.
That's the problem with like the terms of service. They make them long and litigious as necessary to protect them. I get it. Look, I read data privacy law. It's not the greatest read on the planet.
No, it puts me to sleep.
It's a tough read.
It's probably right there within the Code of Federal Regulations and the Federal Aviation Regulations that I have to read for my job.
I'm telling you right now, the latest data privacy law from Sherrod Brown, I read the whole thing.
Wasn't it like 150 pages long or something?
It's long. And I'll be honest with you, I've read probably more than the first 30% of it multiple times. I think it's so interesting. And I don't know why. Like, I'm this huge geek when it comes to the data privacy, but like some of the things, and it's hilariously bad how far behind like Congress and the House and everybody is trying to figure out what to do around data privacy. The way some of that stuff is written, they are hilariously bad at it.
Let me ask you, did they mention a fax machine in that latest thing from Sherrod Brown?
No, they didn't. But the problem was like they wrote something so overwhelmingly broad that basically everyone would be a data aggregator according to them. That includes all of us. Like if you have a phone number, an address, a name, you're a data aggregator of people. And like that's
right.
What's the intent of that? Because then you could just go crazy suing everybody if your phone number got lost because you lost your phone in a lake or something like that. Like that's not the purpose of the law. And that's what's hilariously bad about it, because they swing and a miss, like just a whiff on that law. But hey, what do I know? They should just put all of us in charge. If we were in charge,
what do we know? We're just YouTubers.
I know, right?
Scott, you and I both know somebody who is literally begging you and I to run for office.
Can't do it
every single time he talks to us. So
not gonna do it.
And I know he's watching the show right now. He doesn't know how to comment on the show, but I'm going to get a text message here in a minute. So,
I got to be honest with you. We flew through this show. Absolutely.
It's been amazing.
It's been an incredible show. I love it. It's been amazing. And so I usually try to keep it to an hour, and I want to give the floor to you, Shannon. So I have all of your stuff in the description below. So folks, if you're watching, Shannon is amazing. Obviously you see that she is just a wealth of knowledge. I'm going to put you on the spot. Sorry. I would love to have you on the show again, where we don't just talk about info security, which I could go all day on that, but talk about content creation and everything else that you're doing. I want to make sure we do it justice. So I guess I'm asking, would you in the future please consider coming back on to our show?
I would love to. I think that would be super cool. Awesome. I mean, I'm so passionate about InfoSec, but I like to think I'm well-rounded. So I would be more than happy to talk about content creation.
Very well-rounded.
All the other stuff I do.
We also, and Miss Kathleen has also nailed it as well, your hair is amazing. And so we will also, in the next time that you're on, we will talk about hair, because I think you and I have an equal love affair when it comes to hair. So
yes, I think so. I'm okay with that.
The floor is yours. Please plug exactly anything and everything you'd like.
I would love to. So Twitter is the best place to get in touch with me. So if anybody has questions about security and privacy or how to protect your identity online, definitely send me a message at Snubs, SNUBS. That's B as in boy. And my YouTube channel is youtube.com/Shannon Morse, spelled just like it sounds, just like the name that you see in the title of this video, I'm assuming. So
you got it.
That's the main places where you can find me.
As long as Scott spelled it correctly.
And I promise, if you follow me on Twitter at Snubs, I will not snub you.
It's true. She doesn't. She even follows me. Hey.
I do.
All right, Stats, where can they find you?
I am at Helix Heinlein on the tweet machine and at Country Smith on the Instagram, even though we don't like Facebook.
I know. Okay. You can find me on Twitter at Scott Peachy and on Instagram at the Scott Peachy. Also twitch.tv, Technically Speaking Live, youtube.com/Technically Speaking. True story, I just logged into Twitch on my phone to see if it was working, and it does. So
interesting.
Evidently we are live on Twitch. Guys, just so you know, total zero people watching on Twitch. I have got to start pimping out Twitch, so we'll get there. Anyway,
you didn't promote it all that much.
I haven't promoted it at all, so there's that. Thank you all so much for joining. Yes, we're going to have Shannon back again because this honestly I had a blast. This has been one of the best. So much fun. So thank you all so much for coming, and we will see you all next week, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always. Thanks, y'all.